Hi, I'm Nancy J. Lee, stand-up comedian, actor, food safety instructor, date coach. Yes, a date coach. And this childhood story helped form who I am today. So, I was born in San Francisco, and even though I spoke English, watched all those cool TV shows, and had a diverse group of friends, at home, it was like living in war-torn Korea. My parents and grandparents all survived that awful Korean War, so one thing you never did was ever waste food. It was like the greatest sin you could ever commit. I mean, my grandmother in Korean, she would tell me, if you don't finish all your food, God is gonna punish you. My Korean friend's dad would tell him, if you don't finish every piece of rice, you are not my son. We were like 6 years old. One time we went to this really upscale restaurant and they accidentally brought us some moldy bread. So we called the server over, but as he was trying to take the bread basket away, my mom stopped him and was like, no, it's okay, it's okay. We were like, Mom, let go of the bread basket. And she yelled back at us. She's like, why? What's the big deal? I just cut around the board. What's the big deal? So I remember in the 6th grade, I think our parents were struggling financially because they didn't want me to buy hot lunch at school. Instead, my mom packed me lunch. Was it a nice, simple bologna sandwich? Yeah, right. She packed me Korean food. And back then, nobody knew what Korean food was. The most exotic food you ate was Taco Bell. My mom packed me what's called kimbap. It has like 10 ingredients where you have to marinate and cook every ingredient or ferment it. Stinky. My bratty ass took it to school begrudgingly. When it came time for lunch, I just hid my bag and refused to eat it. Because there's no way in hell that anybody is gonna trade their beautiful, simple ham and cheese sandwich for my stank ass, seaweed wrapped, fermented garden. There was no way I was gonna open up that atomic bomb and create this chemical warfare on those poor kids' noses. So I just starved. Oh, how I wish I just had $1.25 so I can buy some tater tots and chocolate milk. Finally, it was time to go home. But I had this Korean concoction that had been sitting out for 7 hours at room temperature, and I couldn't dare throw it away or else God or my parents were gonna punish me. Riding the bus home is its own ordeal. It's like walking into a war zone. You try to stay low, stay quiet, you just might make it home. So I step onto the bus, and who's on it? Marcus Peterson, the king of popularity and a professional bully at the time. Just imagine Eddie Murphy, Michael Jordan, and Jamie Foxx all rolled into one. This guy was the MVP of kickball and tetherball. He could do the moonwalk. Oh, and the way he dressed, he was so slick. He wore a Michael Jackson Thriller jacket every day with his Run DMC Adidas shoes. He was so cool. He was untouchable. Oh, and his clowning abilities were on another level. You did not want to be one of his victims. If you were not in his inner circle of friends, walking by him was like being on death row. Who's gonna die today? I could have sat in the front of the bus with all the less cool kids, but I wanted to fit in so bad and I so wanted to be popular. I sat in the back, but I sat far away, I thought just enough so that Marcus Peterson wouldn't smell my lunch. The Tupperware wasn't so good, so the smell just started seeping out little by little. Oh my God, I was sweating bullets. I had to hide my foreignness. I felt like Brendan Fraser in School Ties. I was almost home, but Marcus Peterson stands up abruptly and starts sniffing around the bus. He's like, ugh, what's that smell? Of course, it was my lunch bag and I knew it. So I just sat as still as I could, sweat pouring down my face, praying to God, please Jesus Lord, take me to heaven now. But like a bloodhound, he finds the source of the smell and the kids are laughing. He grabs my brown bag and dramatically takes out the Tupperware. And I was begging him, terrified, please Marcus, give me back my bag. But he had no mercy. The kids were cracking up, it was like a show, and then he just rips off the lid and he holds it to his nose and goes, ugh, what the hell is this? That's nasty. My blood began to boil and he awoke a beast in me. I felt like Bruce Lee. in that movie Enter the Dragon, you have offended my family.
And you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
I don't know where I got the courage to do this, but I took that Tupperware and I smashed it into Marcus's face. That seaweed just unraveled and all that sticky rice, fermented carrots, daikon was dripping onto his beautiful Thriller jacket and onto his pristine white Adidas shoes. He took one of the remaining rolls that was sticking on his face and he smashed it into my face, and I was like, oh yeah, and I took a piece and I smashed it into his face, and then just kept on going on, and all the kids started joining in. It was a massive Korean sushi food fight. It was epic. And I was like, I hate you, Marcus! Finally, we got to my bus stop. So I grabbed my mom's damaged Tupperware and said sorry to the poor bus driver. And even though I was doused in broken pieces of kimbap, my spirit was not broken. I stepped off that bus like a warrior. That event changed the course of my 6th grade life. Marcus Peterson never bullied me again. And now we're Facebook friends, so it's all cool. The end. I dedicate this story to my 11-year-old niece, Devin, who is the same age as I was when this happened to me.